Hello, I am back. So I just will carry on where I set off from the last one. Yeah, we've been having problems at my house with the internet. It's really good internet. It's the best internet I've ever had, and it just does this thing that it cuts out every so often. And YouTube can't handle that. It just went absolutely the system. But hey ho, I will now just carry on with the questions. So hey Wesley, hi Lisa, a question on chakras, Kundalini and sound frequency. I have been laying down listening to layered textures of sound frequencies as the Kundalini continues to flush old energies, karmas out of my system. Okay. I noticed that if I isolate and focus attention on particular frequencies in the sound space, the energy body and chakras respond. Lower frequencies activate lower chakras, higher frequencies activate higher chakras. With focused attention on a frequency, it seems to accelerate the flushing out process and clearing of the chakra centers. The question is this a dead end? Is it better to drop all efforts and to let the Kundalini process unfold without any intentional directing of attention? I hope the question is clear. Well, liberation to me isn't Kundalini awakening, although sorting out the body-mind mechanism is something that seems to happen along the process. And so the Kundalini awakening or the changes in energies, but there's still energies inside the body and there's still energies that are experienced by something. So what is experiencing those energies? So you can have contracted chakras and your Kundalini not awoken, but you can still experience this freedom and for there to be an energetic shift. Like, who experiences the energies? On a human level, I would say putting your attention on it and giving it some space is a wise thing to do, because the human is changing and shifting and growing and evolving and letting go of old karmas. So that's something wise to do, even though it's an illusion that it's you that's doing it. So you feel like you are looking at your chakra energies, but it isn't you that's doing it. It's a happening. And there is something that's watching all of that, that's not involved in all of that. There's something that knows it. So you have these energies, these chakra energies arising in your body, these thoughts arising about it. And then there is this consciousness in which that appears in. And that consciousness isn't limited to anything. That consciousness doesn't need anything to be free. It's here, it's available now. It's the birthright of all beings. So I'm not against that happening, the Kundalini awakening, and I'm not against you appearing to put your attention in it and you appearing to give it space, but that's not the freedom. The freedom is the recognition, and it's an energetic shift from being a limited entity that is the Kundalini awakening, that is the feelings, that is the thoughts, to this space which isn't you. And that consciousness in some way doesn't exist because it's not a separate thing. That consciousness is all things. It's not like the consciousness is something which you can divine, you can find. The consciousness is all things. The consciousness isn't separate from anything. You could say consciousness is everything and everything is conscious. So on one side, yeah, give it space and explore and do all of that, but don't believe for a second that that is enlightenment, that that will lead you to enlightenment, because who is waking up? Who Who wakes up? That person doesn't wake up. The consciousness doesn't care if there is anger or happiness. The one that cares is being experienced and isn't you, as is impersonal as the sunlight, as the trees, as the curtain, as the space, as everything else. It's as impersonally happening. And that is the freedom. Okay, now I'm going to try Skype again, which had a bit of a disastrous effect last time. We did that and there was a crash. Okay, let's try again. Okay, where are you? Z.
Oh, hi, Lisa.
Hey, Z. Third or fourth or fifth time round.
Is everything okay
I think
now?
so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I can't tell.
Okay.
Like, but I just carry on and we see what happens.
Okay. Should I ask again the question?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. Please, if you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there is any higher power to help us. I mean, in our life as a guidance or something like that.
Have you been
Or is
reading the
it
Course
illusion?
Course in Miracles to come up with that question, or where did you get this idea from about higher power?
Actually, because I started to look at my thoughts, and there is some thoughts that come and they're just come into my mind, and it's like a loop. It's always come and go and come and go, and I wanted to, because I think that sometimes I feel like there is no power from me to stop them. They're just come, and they really have some impact in my life and in my thinking, and most of the some of my thoughts are negative, so I want to make them, to make them too positive. But
and
when I see them,
the idea of higher power helps you feel more positive.
I read in some guidance online that there is some steps to do such a thing, and one of them is to pray and ask from some power to help you and ask that power to I don't mean like God, or there is no name for that. It just mentioned that there is a higher power that controls everything. You can ask that to help you, and I just wonder if you can tell your opinion about this. And
I think in the human level this is a really nice idea, and I think that, you know, if you're a drug addict or you've been having difficulties in your life, like what they recommend
exactly about addiction
is you give it up to the higher power and you pray to that higher power. And even in A Course in Miracles they use this idea a lot of hearing God's will and listening to God and praying to God, and I think it can be really helpful, this idea on the human level. In the end though, the higher power is yourself, so in a way you're talking to yourself, but you're always talking to yourself, and that's okay. If that ideology, which is what it is, everything that we think about and everything that we comprehend on the intellectual level is an ideology. It's not a truth, it's not a fact. And if that ideology helps you and improves your thinking and improves your experience, then why not use that? And the higher power is yourself. So in a way, you could say you're praying to yourself. To me, that's what the higher power is. And the higher power is consciousness, because consciousness is the creator of everything. And consciousness is what's producing all the thoughts, which is producing all the feelings. So when you're praying to that higher power, it is yourself, but not yourself on the human level, yourself as that which is beyond the human level. It's kind of very beautiful.
So is there any is there a possibility for me to imagine that my higher power is really powerful and it's not weak as human level that I'm living in?
Yeah,
I think that I see myself like that.
I think this is so healing and really beautiful to teach yourself that. Like nothing that we teach ourselves on the intellectual level in the end is true. But I think that that's really helpful for the human to imagine that, because sometimes what we do is we get into this habit and we get into these ideas that we're not good enough, that we're weak, we're powerless. And then that really affects our body, it really affects our chakra. And it's impossible for us to imagine that we are powerful, that we can achieve things, we can do things, that anything's possible. And so therefore we have to externalize that, we have to give it to God, we have to imagine that this higher power is strong and imagine that higher power is going to help us. And all of this I see as positive thinking, as something that's helpful on the human level. But it's also seeing that, you know, everything that we think and feel is something that we've made up in the end. Like we've made up all words, we've made up all concepts, we've made up all theories. But there's ones that are helpful and there's ones that aren't. And a lot of what humans do in our society is they speak to themselves in a very negative way, and they're constantly berating themselves. And so these opposite concepts, whichever it is really beautiful. And if you can't do it for yourself, then you can put it onto someone else. You can put it onto God, that God is powerful and God will help you, or this higher power will help you. And this will pick up your vibration, your chakras. And then once your chakras are more balanced and once your body's more balanced, then this other possibility can begin to be heard. Like when you're really suffering and contracted, it's really hard to hear that there is something bigger, there is something else that is
yeah,
here
exactly.
now.
Because every time I listen to you, I think that I know that this is right that you're speaking about. I know that this is exactly that we all have to feel non-duality and just the present moment. But because I think that far away from that, you know, I feel like that. I feel like you're living in a moment and I'm far away from you. I mean, you as a present moment. This is my thing.
On the ultimate level, that can't be true though, because you are here. Like this is presence. It's just that there's a dream appearing where you're dreaming in this moment that you are far away from yourself, that you're far away from that higher power. But actually you are in the present moment, because you can't be anywhere else but in the present moment. You've never experienced the past and you'll never experience the future. You only ever experience now. But I understand what you're saying, like in the dream of you that's appearing now, you feel like you're far away from this moment. It's kind of a tragic love story, isn't it? Like when you put it like that.
It's suffering. You know, I'm very open to this if it's okay. I suffer. I know lots of people suffer from this you know, magic moment that we always have some idea about it. We're not really living it. We just have that idea and we like to catch it. But I know deep inside that this is the fact that you're talking about. I can feel it. I can see it in your eyes, and when you're speaking about it, there is a feeling like this is it. But because we're living in that tragedy that you're saying. It's a society information that built us from the beginning. And sometimes I think that we're lost in that story deeply, that we forget how to reconnect. And
what happens when you're listening to me is actually really beautiful. You can't see this now, but I'm going to do a demonstration to other people listening. Is that when you're listening to me, what happens is most of the time, so I've got two hands up, see, so you can know. So I've got two hands up, and I'm pointing to one, which is the person, and that is the identification and the story. And most people are lost in that. And then you have this consciousness that's behind, that seemingly is watching the person and watching the world, but it's not really behind, but that's what it seems like. And it seems like the person takes up the whole screen, the person and the story take up the whole screen. And then when you're listening to me, or you're reading words, or you're listening to another teacher on non-duality, there is a resonance that happens, and then it flicks over, and the person goes into the background and the consciousness comes into the foreground, and then there's suddenly a feeling of that freedom. And then then it flicks again, and then the person says, hang on, what was that? That's what I want. She has something I want. And then it flicks again, and then there's this expansiveness, and then the person is in the background, and you feel all free, and then it flicks back. And this is called what a lot of teachers call flip-flopping, where there's identification, then you listen, and there's resonance, and then you go back into the story and back into the suffering. And I think what you're suggesting doing in the story about like this higher power and this positive thinking, I think this will help the story relax, and then that will relax the seeking energy that's always looking for something else to an extent. And it's not that person that comes free and sees it, but that person becomes more relaxed. So you can imagine like a cloud, you can imagine the sky with like really dense clouds in it, like really heavy, thunderous clouds, and you that's been there your whole life, and you can't imagine above is a blue sky. And as the person relaxes, it's like the clouds become thinner, and you can begin to see glimpses of the blue sky. And then it's not that the clouds will have to go after that point, it's just then this recognition that you are that blue sky, you are that light. It's always been around.
It's very beautiful. I mean, when you're speaking about it, when you're talking about it, I feel like what a beautiful thing that I'm missing every time, that every moment.
I think though, when I'm speaking about it though, you are having tastes of it. It's just that you can't perceive that. But there's something, like the fact that you're describing that's beautiful, like there's some part in you that knows this so deeply that's beyond the personal self. So I don't think you're missing it all the time. It's just the person only recognizes itself when it's there. Like it only notices.
I'm sorry.
You go.
Because it's my story habit to interrupt in the middle of speaking. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
There are some beautiful moments that I feel like connected to the moment, but it's very few, because last time I called you, because I called you about a year ago, and I was in a very and you talked to me, and you suggest me to find some atmosphere to protect me, I mean, as a human level. And I tried to find some people to trust and to get love from. And actually they were so they some help. I mean, I got so many helps from the others. And you suggest me that, and I tried some other things like that. that program like for addiction people, for some people that addicted, because I figure out that my thinking way of thinking is like addiction. So I tried I started to work as an addicted person. I'm not addicted, but I addict to thinking. To think and to review and think and live like that. Because of that, I tried that, and now I feel much better, and I feel like I can connect some moments to life. I don't feel like I'm a dead person like before, because
that's amazing.
I used to think like that, and I remember that you told me that you're loved and everybody is loved, and you told me that don't forget that you're loved, and you're not kicked out of life. That's what I remember that you told me.
And that's totally true. And the way that that's seen is right now. You're in this moment. It's in what's also appearing as this story. So this story about your life and like with the pain that you've had or the suffering you've had, and that's perfect as well. But there's also this moment that's here right now, and it's absolutely free. It's not something that you have to work to get. It's not something that you have to barter with God to have. You're always in this moment, and this moment is always recognizing itself. It's always alive and present. It's always here. And this is your freedom. This is where you're loved from. We're always looking for love in a person, in a thing, in a teaching, in a feeling, in an experience. But the true love is that which is experiencing right now, and that which is experiencing is always this moment. It never leaves. Like, that's how you recognize it, the fact that it never leaves. It never walks out and is like, goodbye, I'm going. You can't, like, if you don't have the present moment, there's nothing that's here. There's always this present moment. And this is how you know that you're loved. Like, this is, that life is never going to kick you out. What we imagine is, we imagine when I die, I'm going to be kicked out of this present moment. If this person leaves me, I'll be kicked out of this present moment. Like, I will be abandoned and left and lost. But it never leaves you. It never abandons you. It's just an idea that the mind plays, a dream that the mind plays in time, in imagination, in this and that, in you and me. But your essence is always here. That higher power is always here. And I think it's super beautiful, the origins of your question of praying to that higher power. And you can just put it in different ways. Like, I wouldn't ever use the word higher power, but you pray to yourself, and it's yourself you're asking courage from. And it's here, it's right now, it's listening to everything that's being said. It's this,
even now.
Even now, it's that which is conscious.
Exactly. Just
so the person's like saying, like, should I pray to this higher person, and that person believes it exists and believes it's conscious, but that person's never actually alive. That person's never actually conscious. There is consciousness of that person. So it's kind of cute that the person does it. It's sweet that the person does it, but it's not the freedom, because even though it will improve the human experience more than likely, but it's not the freedom, because the freedom is that which is watching that happening. It's that which knows it's happening.
Can I ask something else?
Yes, sure.
And what is the mind? I mean, the mind is always speaking.
Yeah. The mind is.
I don't understand. It's not that kind of kindness from mind. I don't get that kind of kindness.
Yeah.
And
so the mind. I mean, we don't even know where we find thinking in the body, but it's something that's happening in the body. This thinking, which is also activating feelings. So you think something, so if someone annoys you, there is anger, and you're like, I hate that person. And then there is like anger and adrenaline running through the body. So it's very strongly connected, or there can be anxiety in the body, and then there is this thinking that happens, and also this imagining. And it's something that happens in human beings. We don't know how many other animals it happens in. And it comes with intelligence, and it more than likely came because when we left the trees, so as apes, when we left the trees and came onto the flat ground, we had to evolve as a species to use complicated thinking in order to protect ourselves against predators. Like, it was much easier for us to survive up in the trees. When we came back down onto the flat ground, we had to make homes, we had to protect ourselves from a lot more predators, we had to use thinking and imagination in order to navigate our environment more. Whereas in the trees, it was a lot more about being in the moment, about like the movement, the jumping from tree to tree. It was a lot more quicker, our thinking, and a lot more spontaneous. And then as we came onto the flat ground, we began to have to imagine a lot more future possibilities. And then from that it evolved, and then we began to imagine ourselves and that we exist inside the body, whereas prior to that, as chimps or whatever we were at that stage, we didn't have to think about me, we didn't have to think about I, we just were. But then when we started thinking about I, our thinking got even more complex, because we imagined this I, this solid, this center of the universe, this person that is a fixed thing. And then it creates this thinking, and the thinking originated.
We feel our body more.
Yeah, sorry? We feel...
I'm sorry, but we feel our body very seriously. I mean, it's the only thing that we feel very closely.
Yeah. And it's total lie
like
that's more you than the sun or the sky. But it just, because we feel it, we identify. It's just there's an identification with it. But the mind, going back to the original question, so the mind is this ability to navigate and survive our environment. So the mind, in a way, is always going to be inherently negative, because its functioning is to think about problems and try to avoid those problems. And that's not a problem in itself. It's just that the suffering begins when you identify with these thoughts and feelings. So right now you're having a feeling and you're having a response to what I'm saying, and then there is this belief that that is you, whereas actually who you are now isn't that person, isn't that body-mind mechanism, isn't that feeling. It's this emptiness that's watching it all, and the emptiness which isn't separate from everything. And it's so free and expansive.
There is no me. So there is no me that I'm speaking. There is no me that I'm talking.
No. And this consciousness, it doesn't care what Lisa says or doesn't say. It's not having any emotional reactions to it. It doesn't have an objective. It's just experiencing, just innocently experiencing itself. And then the person has a response, and then there's an identification with that response, and then the belief that that is you, which it isn't you. Which is really beautiful.
It's so it's like a moment that you feel like, so you're looking above, you feel our connection. Where do you see us?
Where do I see us? It depends. Like from one place, it's there's just seeing happening, but then when I begin to think, and then when there is coming from the intellect and from the Lisa character, it's obviously it's seeing from this angle, but then there is this other part that isn't seeing from any angle, that's totally free, that is everywhere and everything. It's kind of these two lives to live.
So that's the feeling.
Yeah, there's this energetic shift that happens where you stop being identified with the person.
It's a vibration. It's energy. It's not a...
Yeah, it's kind of energy, but also kind of not. No, it's not a sight. It's like this energetic expansion that happens that's not personal. But then also the character comes and goes. So Lisa can say, like, I'm looking at tissue now. I'm looking at the bits of a tissue that I've been ripping up. So, so that can be said, but there's this other part. So right now, when you're listening to me, you think that the consciousness is coming from your head, but actually consciousness is everywhere. It's in my words. It's in the sight of me. It's in the feeling of the room. It's everything that's appearing. And that is who you truly are. And it's totally still. It never moves. It is all things and it's nothing. And it's totally empty. So you're not watching from inside that body. You're not watching from that character. You are watching from everything that's happening. That's your true essence, is this everythingness, is this expansiveness.
And there is no danger.
No, there is no danger to that. On the human level, there's danger. If a big lion comes in, it would hurt if it bit us. But on that level, there is no danger because you are everything. And that's why suffering happens, because when you're only identified with the body and pleasure and pain become too important. And then you believe that you are something that's born and dies. Whereas actually your true essence is never affected by anything. It's never afraid of anything. It never rejects anything. It never feels appalled by anything. It never has a dilemma between good and bad. It's totally free. It's just experiencing. It doesn't have any reactions. It's silently observing, and it's here in all things now. It's in the wall. It's in my voice. It's in the drink. It's appearing as everything. It's walling. It's curtaining. It's sounding.
And that is really who I am, exactly.
Yes, isn't that beautiful? And that's who both
really
of us are. That's who both of us are, beyond form. And that's so mind-boggling, because it feels, the mind says there is a you and a me, and that you're experiencing from consciousness from that angle, and I am, but that's not true. It's totally not true.
Yeah, mind always talking. Mind is always saying, no, how can this be true?
Yeah.
Because you have so many problems, you have this, you have that. But when you say that, I feel like, oh God.
Yeah, and right here, it's consciousness speaking to consciousness. It's not two people speaking together. It appears when we imagine, when we think that it's two people speaking together. But on this other level, it's simply consciousness speaking to itself. Just like when you pray to yourself, like when you pray to the higher power. So right now, there's not Lisa that's recognizing you speaking. It's consciousness recognizing you speaking. And the same the other way around. It's not Z recognizing Lisa speak. It's consciousness recognizing, it's consciousness hearing. It's just the body mind is a functioning that it's like a microphone, it's like a camera, but it's not alive, the body mind. The thoughts aren't alive. They're appearing in aliveness, they're appearing in consciousness, but they aren't recognizing, they aren't conscious of anything. They are in a way robotic. They're functioning. So what you are is full stop. What you are is this moment. This is the freedom.
This is the freedom.
This is the freedom. And it's really, I think it's really beautiful you do all the other stuff on the human level, but it's also remembering and listening to these talks and knowing that at the same time, none of it matters. What really matters is who you are, which is presence, which is here, which is existence, which is experiencing happening, or no thing and everything, whatever you want to call it, the I am consciousness, whatever resonates in your heart. God.
That is very beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, it was really beautiful speaking to you.
Very nice.
And thank you for being patient.
No, thank you for giving me this chance to talk to you and ask you these questions. And I hope I will continue this. I mean, not as a human, I mean, in a human level, as a human level, I hope that I can, I don't know how to say it, but to change the negative to positive. I think I'm working on this, and I will give you some information in the future. There is no future, but maybe.
Nice.
About my progress.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks, C.
I know this. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of love. Bye.
Lots of love. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Is it back on, Andy? Is it back on? Hi guys, I don't know if there's many people left bearing with us. We are having internet problems because everybody's on the internet maybe. Yeah. So thanks Steve for that conversation, that was really beautiful. Hi Lisa, glad to see you. Hi Oleg. Hi Vincent. I won't take any more calls tonight. Hi Annick, dear Lisa. I would like to ask a question if I may. Could you speak about feeling disconnected in physical distress? I have felt so alone when being sick, literally fighting to stay alive and immense pain. Yeah. You see, when you're sick, all of us will get sick in the bodily level and die. And what happens when you're sick is the story goes that you feel that you've been abandoned by life, and then there's immense physical pain, but that you're being abandoned, you're being kicked out from life. When I had this big awakening when I was younger, there was this really wonderful experience where I was walking along and I saw this dog. I was in Asia and I saw this dog dying on the street, and it, like, its hair had fallen out, it was skinny, it was bony, and it was just after this awakening, and it just suddenly became so apparent that the dog didn't have the human story of being abandoned or kicked out of life. That dog was being supported in this moment, that life was holding that dog, life was looking after that dog, and that's your freedom. Like, that's the way out of suffering for you when you're in immense pain and fighting to stay alive. It's recognizing that this moment is holding you, and it's a shift of attention. It's an energetic shift from being identified with your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas, your experiences, your life, to this moment, to this switch into this moment. On the human level, so if you want, you could book a one-to-one session with me, or you can watch some of my other videos about this. But on the human level, if you're having great distress, then there can be energetic work that you do in chakras to try and release the body of pain to an extent. But that's never going to be freedom, because there's always going to be pain and pleasure, and that can be helpful when the person's really contracted. So I could speak to you about that another time, but I don't feel to go into the chakras tonight. But the true freedom is the recognition that this moment is holding you. This moment is who you truly are. So if the body does die, if the body does transform into something else, if the body is in pain, it's knowing that this moment never dies. This moment never leaves you. Consciousness never leaves you. Consciousness is what you are. It's not even that it never leaves you. Consciousness is what you are. You're not separate from it. You've never been this form. You've never been that pain. You've never been that story. You've always been this consciousness. So if you imagine a dream at night, like when you dream, you have a dream of a character inside moving around in this dream, and then you begin to really believe that you are this character that's alive, separate from the dream. But when you wake up in the morning, you remember that you were the whole entire dream. You were the timeline, the moon, the sky, the sun, the houses, the other people. You were everything. You were never someone that was alone and abandoned by life. You were it all. Thank you for your question. I wish you health and I wish you well. Lots of love. Guten Tag. Dankeschön for the talk. Dankeschön for the talk. Dankeschön für das Specken. I don't know if that works. Hi, Ronald. Dear Lisa, you are such a wonderful person, so authentic and at home in one, such great inspiration. Thank you for being there, and thank you for your blessing I receive from you today. Stay healthy. Oh, thanks, Roland. That's very beautiful to say. I can't read that, what you put in Bulgarian language. Wells war is. Hi, Michael. Hey, Dennis. Hi, Fatima. Hi, Maria. Hi, Carmela. Hi, Malfred. Aaron. Hi, Isabel. Hi, Deepak. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Viren. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Mansoor. Hi, Enjoy. Gabriel. Hi, Lars. Hi, Andy. Hi, Fabrizio. Hi, Jaya. Hi, Thomas. Okay, maybe that's enough for tonight. Or maybe I take one more question and then that's enough. Who shall we go? I just pick. Fabrizio. Hi, Lisa. I found fascinating something I read lately about the recapitulation theory and the fact that we can see hints in the child's behavior parallel to the stages of race development and features of earliest and later tribes, like the Ice Age or the Stone Age. It really blows my mind. The development of the human fetus in the womb is representing exactly the development of the human race as a whole. I found quite amazing that for a scientist it's so difficult to discriminate whether a 3-month embryo is that of a man or a horse or an elephant. Oh, isn't that mind-blowing and fantastic and wonderful? It really is. Yeah. But that's not a question, eh? Yeah, so maybe that's a hint that it's time for me to end. Yes, I shall see you next Sunday. Hopefully we'll fix the internet problems. It's more than likely that there's just too many people using the internet at the moment. Yeah. Thank you so much, and I wish you well. I wish you everything. Thanks, guys. Good night. You say that? Good night.